now streaming live. Full Velocity TV begins now.
And your source for esports racing is live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Full Velocity Racing Network live tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. And damn right, we're at Bristol. It's Tuesday night. It's time for the Hobo Racing Cup Series back home in NR 2003. And we come to you live this evening via Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch TV. Hello, everybody. Phil the Cast here. Jack chewing on the controls. And alongside me tonight, an old friend, a guy who's just been everywhere. His talents have been all over the internet. ESPN3, Gardner Webb University, the voice of the Forest City Owls over the summertime. Our old friend, Mr. Blake McCandless, joining us. Blake, how the heck are you, man? It's been a long time. Welcome back to Full Velocity, buddy. How you been?
Oh, man, Phil, it's just been too long since I've been here with you guys, and it's been something that I've missed, being here on NR 2003 and bringing you guys some racing coverage, but back at it tonight. And I think there's really no place I'd rather be than here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Just a great place to watch a race, and especially these guys. They're sliding all around the place. Looking at all these guys sliding around with open setups that we have for you tonight. It should be really interesting to see how these guys handle Bristol, so I'm excited to be back, Phil.
Absolutely right. Well, before we get racing, what do you say we take this thing trackside? Let's pay honor to this great nation, the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, the playing of our national anthem. All right, back here live in your source for esports and racing, getting ready to rock and roll. The Voiles Trucking Hobo Racing Cup Series, getting ready to go green flag racing here for 150 laps around the best coliseum left in the racing world, the Bristol Motor Speedway. Let's take you through our Voiles Trucking starting lineup. On the pole, aboard car number 113 is Caleb Lingle. Alongside the number 73 is Herman Reese. Row number 2, the number 112 of Eddie Rayleigh, with Ricky Bumbelow, with number 85 on the outside of row number 2. Ralph Pauley rolls off 5th tonight aboard car number 61 with the 11 car of Steve Grant. Rolling off 7th tonight will be the number 13 of Harry Cody and Steve Rubino aboard the number 21, Brendan Spatafora. And Ron Simpson going to make it to bounce our top 10. I thought we were good and ready to race, Blake, but I guess we've got an auto being thrown. It looks like they've had to wait on somebody. It looks like now we're getting ready to push this thing back forward. So hopefully all systems will be a go for us here with the ticker. But that's our top 10, Blake. I'll give you 11 through 20.
Kevin Roy, he'll be starting in the 77 tonight in 11th. Randy Smith, he'll be starting in 12th. Ryan Johnson, he'll round out in the 13th spot. Nebelsick, he'll be in the 51 car and starting 14th. Pushrod 17, he'll be in 15th. Jeff Stakness, he'll be starting in 16th. Dave Rubino will start in 17th. Ryan Napak, he'll be in 18th. Keith McLean in 19th. And then rounding out the top 20 is going to be the 59 of Sorensen.
Brian Voiles rolls off tonight, 21st in car number 68, flanked by the 22 of Jason San Diego. Gary Moore aboard the number 40 with Brett Carter aboard car number 66, rolling off 24th. Danny Hardy rolls off next to the 03, flanked by Rob Keller's number 57. Daniel Dupuis, Maverick, and Kayla Jules going to be our 30-car field. Let's go trackside.
Engines!
And the command to fire engines has been given, ready to rock and roll. 150 laps around. Great to have you aboard tonight. Full Velocity Racing Network live via Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch TV. It is going to be a lot of fun. And Blake, we were talking off air. If these guys get strung out right away here early with some early green flag running, this race may get over in no time. So the action's going to happen quick here.
Oh, no doubt, only 150 laps here at this one tonight. And when you think about Bristol Motor Speedway, these guys clicking off about mid-15 to high or low 16-second laps, it's not a whole lot of time. So if these guys can go green, like you said, Phil, we may be out of here in a jiffy.
Absolutely right. Well, the Cars and Stars working their way through the game version here of the Bristol Motor Speedway, the old one that came out with the track decked out with black walls just for us as we go racing here. I race a guy flag, green flag up in the air. We're racing down to the turn number 1. Caleb Lingle tonight's quick time here presented by Hart Motorsports. Turning a great time. Herman Reese, number 73 Cadillac. He's going to slide into the second spot. Eddie Rayleigh, good run for that 112. Couple of newcomers out here in the last couple of weeks having a good run. Caleb Lingle going to lead the field with 1 lap in. They're off turn 2.
Lingle will lead the field. The field got a little bit stacked up there on the back straightaway on the 61 car of Ralph Pauly. He got a little loose as you can see him sliding around in that Navy Dodge. Sliding all around this joint again. This is open setup, so some of these guys are going to be sliding, and I think we saw a little bit of that as there's some trouble here on the back straightaway for our first caution of the night.
Sure is. One car stopped it around here, and I believe it may have been the 03 of Danny Hardy. That's around our first Hanover Record Service caution flag of the night here on Full Velocity. I did see a couple of cars down there off of, I think that was off of turn number 2. A couple of cars turned around. We'll put Jack to work down there. He'll give you a BladeNote.com, Full Velocity Racing Network instant replay, and I think that's just going to tell a story of you saw these cars. They were really loose looking in practice. They're going to be loose here early. It is open setup racing. And when you get a guy loose in front of you, Blake, I know we did 200 laps of this over the weekend here at our home base. This place is a way to spit you up and chew you out really quickly. But when something breaks here quickly, it's really tough to get stopped because there's only so much racetrack and so little room left to go. And unfortunately, it looks like Duke Sorensen may have got turned around from the 03 of Danny Hardy. And we're really lucky that didn't come to a bigger wreck than it could have been.
Well, yeah, Phil, you see right here on the replay, it's going to be the 59 of Sorensen, and just like we were mentioning, he gets the back end of the car stepping out just a bit, has to lock up those tires to try and save it, and like you said, Phil, you almost just have no time to react here at Bristol. There's really nothing the 03 of Hardy could have done as he runs right into the back of him and brings out our first caution of the night, but you're exactly right. Hardy riding around 1 second, gets plowed and gets a lot of damage after that. So the 59 looks like his night may be well done as he has a lot of damage on his Chevrolet. And again, that's just how quickly it takes for disaster to happen here at Bristol.
Sure does. It looks like 59 car going to be behind the wall. Looks like his night is going to be done. Danny Hardy, the 03, he comes down to pit road. A guy to keep an eye on who has just been on a tear here recently, leads the series and wins, and that is the number 029, Okila Jules back there starting deep in the field tonight. He runs back there in 27th. For a guy who notoriously is a really good car, probably got a fan of the short tracks. How much different of an animal is it? You're used to these mile-and-a-half cookie cutters and running it up. You get out here to this high bank half mile. It's like they say fighter jets in a gymnasium. What kind of tactics do you use to attack a racetrack like this? It pretty much throws all conventional wisdom of how you could race out there.
Well, Phil, I think the one unique thing about the track we're at tonight, Bristol, is that it's a rhythm track. You have to find a way to get some green laps under you and then kind of find out where your car's at. Obviously, these guys with open setups are sliding around a little bit on these cold tires on these restarts. But the biggest thing is you just want to get in a rhythm. You want every lap to be the same, almost the same as you possibly can get it. And so with these guys having a little bit of trouble early, that's probably the one bad thing about Bristol is there's a lot of guys running side by side. There's usually a lot of accidents when you get into the sim racing side of things, and unfortunately with that, you don't really get a chance to establish that rhythm. That's probably the biggest thing these guys are looking for, is how their cars run over the long run, and once they can kind of find that groove, they can really see where they're stacked up at.
Absolutely. This guy right here, one of the best. Why we are glad to have him back alongside the sweet Southern voice of our old friend Blake McCandless, joining us here tonight live on the Full Velocity Racing Network. And Blake was very instrumental guy to the early origins of the Full Velocity brand a couple of years ago. Very thankful that he's taken his Tuesday night out here to hang out with us and do this. It fits like a glove. Guy's got a world of talent. Done this for a long time with us, and great to have him back aboard here tonight as we go off of turn number 4, that Full Velocity Racing Network Chevrolet Corvette pace car down to pit road. We go iRacing I flag, green flag back in the air. Caleb Lingle, Herman Reese, Eddie Rayleigh, Ralph Pauly, Ricky Bumbalo going to be our top 5. Single file restarts away the lane here at Hobo, and so far, so good as a hit turn number 3.
Well, it's going to allow the 113 of Caleb Lingle to jump out to a little bit of a lead right now, as again, like you said, single file restarts really allows these guys to mind their own business, try to get as much under their own power as possible. As you see, Lingle starting to get reeled in just a bit by the 73 of Reese here as we're coming up to lap number 10.
Yeah, Herman Reese, a guy we've seen win so many times over the years here on the network, and currently that Cadillac running in the second spot aboard car number 73. And one of the cool things here about the Hobo Racing League here, Blake, they always do single file restarts, as we see one on the apron off turn number 4. Looks like for the time being going to stay green. Got some slow traffic back there as we get things, looks like all kind of sorted out. I think it was Jason San Diego around, but we talk about, short track racing at its best here tonight in Bristol. And we talk about single file restarts. That's the thought I was going with. A lot of the leagues out there today, they duplicate what we see for the real life thing now with double file restarts. And we've we've discussed this at length over ourselves and other friends in our different leagues out there. The benefit of a single file restart on a short track versus double file, I think a lot of it lays down to the drivers and the way they respect one another to run nobody over. Because single file, you think a guy running back there in 20th, maybe finding a little bit impatience back there, but these are veteran seasoned drivers. There's a whole lot of respect. I think that make leagues like Hobo as great as they are.
No doubt about that. You can see a perfect example of that if you look back in the battle for the 4th position right now. Again, it's the 61 of Pauly right behind the lap traffic of Jason San Diego. He spun a little bit earlier, but the one thing about this original game track that these guys are running, if you spin on the apron, tough luck on getting a caution unless you come up on the racing surface. This thing is likely going to stay green, but you can see it right now. A lot of these guys, really 6th through 9th, you can throw them under a blanket, 4th through 9th, I should say, racing with a ton of respect, and again, just trying to look for an opportunity to where you can pass. It's so hard to pass here with just online racing and how the physics work in this game, but you need that opportunity. You need to run off the corner to really make it work.
You really do, and something else you really need to have underneath you is a good set of tires. You got to manage tires in a place like this. Who better to ask than a guy who nicknamed himself Mr. F4, a guy who's notorious in this community for being one of the best at managing and saving tires. A guy like myself, you'd think for all these years, I would have this thing figured out. I'd be out there top 10 every night. Not the case. What kind of different things can you do in these cup cars to maybe take care of baby your tires along and not give up all that speed that you see some of these top-end guys have?
Oh, no doubt about that, as we have trouble on the back.
Oh, yeah, we do.
And into turn 3, it's going to be the 22 rather of Jason San Diego is involved. The 61 of Pauly is in it. And again, that just shows you how quick good can go to bad here at Bristol. Getting around lap traffic is very important, and it looks like there's a little bit of a disagreement there going into 3. Some lap traffic getting in together. Unfortunately for our guy Pauly, who was running up in the top 5, he's going to take a little bit of a seat and go back in the field after this one.
That sucks too. Ralph was having a really, really good run here early on. Only 19 laps of 150 in. Our second caution flag of the night. Bladeno.com, Hobo Racing, Full Velocity Instant Replay going to show just that. It's going to lap traffic getting together about mid-pack, and they go around and it collects some of the guys in the top 10. That's too bad. Guys like Pauly, I think I saw the KJ back there. You called a couple different names out. San Diego, the 22 car. He was the first one to go around over there. I think we see guys like Keith McLean get stacked up. So this is where guys like in the top 10. Eddie Rayleigh, who's up there with top 5, he got a little piece of the action as well. So this is really going to jumble up the field now on lap number 20 under the yellow flag. And now the thought becomes to be how critical is track position going to be here tonight? How much key is better tires going to be with now a couple early yellow flags 20 laps in? If coming in right now and putting 4 tires on this thing, how much better is your car going to handle than these guys out there with maybe about, 10 or 12, 15 laps of green flag running on them? What would you do right now if you were out there?
Well, it's kind of hard to say, Phil. Like you said, track position is king here at Bristol just because at times it can be so hard to pass, especially if the guy in front of you is running at a relatively even pace with you. It could be really hard to pass. But the other thing you want to take into account is that because of the way the pit physics work at this track, you have to go through both pit roads all the way around to get to your pit stall. So the one thing you don't want to do is pit under green because you're losing probably 3 laps or so here at Bristol Motor Speedway with how quickly the laps tick off. If I were Caleb Lingle right now, he got to quite a big lead during that last run, and we only went 10 laps or so. So if I were him, I would probably stay out here, try to see how long this race can cycle through, because once you lose that track position and you get back in the back of the field, you just never know what can happen.
Absolutely right. That's why we got this a brilliant guy up here. Very, very happy that Blake McCandless with us here this evening. Hoping we're going to get more of his excerpts here over the next couple of months, if not only back here at Hobo, all over all the great stuff we do here on the Full Velocity Racing Network. Where you guys know we're out here just about every night. Facebook Live and YouTube and Twitch TV doing NR 2003 when we can, mostly on a Tuesday night. We're out there in the iRacing Dirt doing a lot of that. And if you guys want to see the entire schedule of events and what we're up to, check us out today, fullvelocitytv.com. How about some all-new Full Velocity Racing Network swag, T-shirts, hats, bumper stickers. If you can think of it, I'm pretty sure Todd has probably put it in that store. Head over to the website today, fullvelocitytv.com. Click on the tab to buy some swag and check out all the great stuff. I think it comes in like 20-something different colors, so thank Todd for all his contributions there. I see he's out there in the YouTube chat checking in. He was scheduled to be out here tonight, but some last-minute stuff in the Stanton household unfortunately keeps Todd away, having to replace some flooring here with a water heater going through the floor. So that is not a good thing for all. I'd rather have Todd out there repairing the house for the kids and being out here and doing this with us tonight. So glad he's checked in. Hope all is well there as we check in a little bit later on. As we get back to racing here, Blake, lap number 24, and Caleb Lingo holding on to that precious track position. He's going to lead the field back to green.
Lingle gets another good restart. Herman Rice, though, trying to reel him in. It's important to try and get as much as you can on this restart. Ryan Bumbelow, though, back in the third spot in that 85 machine, starting to get a little bit of a challenge from the 13 of Harry Kodian. As Kodian starting to make a little bit of a march, he'll pull right up. It looks like within half a car length of that 85 machine. Kodian, he's been working his way through the field. He's just slowly trying to pick these guys off, see if he can try to find his way into the top 3.
Yeah, he absolutely is. They ride single file there, basically through the top 5 off the 4th turn. Steve Grant in the Speedland, car number 11, riding in the 5th spot. Steve, a guy who been having a really good season over here at Hobo. We're running up there right in the top 5 in the points as we slow it back down again. Yellow, yellow, yellow on the racetrack. 27 laps in now. Our 3rd Hanover Record Service caution flag of the night. Going to put Jack back to work down there in the control booth this evening. And it looks like some issues out there. Oh, I think I saw the 28. That may have got a piece of something even further ahead. We click up there. Jack will give you a better look than I'll give you here on the replay. I'll guarantee you that. But Blake Usher, you got a peek at that. There was smoke somewhere in mid-pack. Oh, I think I found it. Somebody up in the front of the top 10 got around. It might have been Danny Rubino around, and that stacks them up all behind. And that's one of those things. You get loose here at Bristol, there's just no place to escape that wrecked race car.
You're exactly right, Phil. As you can see right there on your screen on our replay. Again, we've mentioned it a couple of times before tonight, just nowhere to go when things start to go wrong here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. As again, we're running under our third caution of the night. And again, we look out front to Caleb Lingle, and it looks like nobody taking right now, at least in the top few cars going on to pit road here, as he'll get picked up by the pace car. As we were mentioning earlier, Phil, already on lap, we're on 28 right now, coming up on 29. It shows you how quick things move here at Bristol, but a shout out to Caleb Lingle. He's led every lap tonight so far.
Absolutely right. And want to thank you guys all out there watching. Give us some feedback. Jack, I'm not sure if you've seen it come through. Looks like we'd need just a little tad bit more volume out of Blake. Sounds like he's a little bit low out there. I was trying to get my ear out there to the mix as well. And he's a little bit low out there. So do some on-the-fly adjustments. Jack giving you a replay. He'll get the sound volume right. You guys, as always, we welcome all the stuff coming in as far as feedback goes, and glad you guys are all aboard. The Hobo family, I call them here on Tuesday night. You got Gent Nation out there with Brendan's camp. They're all out there rooting. You got the ladies out there. You got, Judy's out there. You got Barbara and Ann and the usual cast over here. I can't forget Bobby Farrell this week and Average Joe and all the usuals are out there migrating. Steve Miller, a guy who's always busy. Hope you all are well, and really glad you've tuned in this evening here at the Full Velocity Racing Network. The Bristol Motor Speedway, a race that wasn't originally on our calendar here a couple of weeks ago, but we had a broadcast here go south we were supposed to do right at the opening, and we decided instead of giving you a half lame show, we regroup it. We'll add Bristol to the schedule and give you guys the absolute pound for pound best of the best here of online broadcast coverage. And glad you guys have all tuned in tonight. You guys haven't done so yet. Check out some of the great sponsors we have here at the network. So many great people that take really good care of us. We're going to thank folks like Voiles Trucking, the title sponsor of this series. They do commercial freight transfers and truck leasing. Check them out today over on Facebook at Voiles Trucking. Also going to say hello and thank you to our brother Tyler over at Hanover Record Service, the official caution flag sponsor of the Full Velocity Racing Network. Also go to Facebook and check out Hanover Record Service. Also going to say hello and thank you to our buddy Jeff Brown over at iRacing iFlag. For you iRacers out there, if you do not have an iFlag, well, you are missing out. You want to be a step over the competition. Check his great product out today, iRacingIFlag.com. Also going to say hello and thank you to the gang over at BladeNode.com. Simple web solutions powered by nerds. You need a VPS server, maybe a dedicated server, maybe even as simple as web hosting for a great website. Well, look no further than our friends over at BladeNode.com. Also say a shout out and hello to our buddy Scott Bogloff down at the South Texas Speedway. It is Corpus Christi's place to race, a terrific racetrack. Follow them online today, SouthTXSpeedway.com. Also, hello to our buddy Jake Keel as he is hashtag Make Dirt Track Racing Great Again. And as I say, make all of short track racing great again. Check out Montstar Productions today on Facebook. That's Montstar Productions with 2 R's. And thank all those guys. Also going to give shout outs to TDR Racing League, Hard Motorsports, Trash Panda Graphics, Evil One Graphics. And you cannot come to Hobo on a Tuesday without thanking our buddy Brendan Spadafora over at Full Throttle with the Gent. Great to have all these great sponsors. Great to have all of you out there tonight. And Blake, we're getting ready to go back to a little bit of green flag racing, coming to lap number 35, already about 1/3 the way home. Caleb Lingo so far, he has led the distance. If we get some good run here, I wonder how long that car can hold up all those guys behind who may have a little bit fresher rubber underneath them.
We'll see if he can. Looking at the lap times right now, Caleb Lingle that last time by a 16.165. Right behind him in Rice, a 2.32. And a lot of 16.1s is Rice. He gets into a little bit of the outside wall. But right now, that top 5 looking like they're at least keeping pace with the 113 of Caleb Lingle as they'll try to run him down, see if we can't get a long green flag run here to really see who has that long run car tuned up here tonight.
Absolutely, as we get back to it on lap number 37. Blake, I'm not sure if your microphone got turned or took a dive on you. It sounded like it was kind of in the back of your throat right there, just to give you a heads up. And as we work off into turn number 3 and 4, Roger Neville's skillet machine slides up the hill. He was a car clinging on to the end of a lead lap there, or 2 laps down, or 3 laps down even. And the number 51, Roger Neville's trying to race his way on to gain one of those laps back the hard way. Caleb Lingo going to hold on to the race lead of 113. Herman Reese, Ricky Bumbalo, Harry Cody in, and Steve Grant, your top 5. Great runs tonight out of the gate for our buddy Brendan Spadafora is number 37. He runs 6. And how about Hobo's own old Steve Rabino with 21? So far, so good. Steve running in 7th, and so far that car all clean. And we know Steve. He's a short track racer. He wins a lot of races here on these short tracks when he does. 21 car Blake going to be a good one to hear and watch this evening.
No doubt about that, but looking forward to the battle for 5th place. You can see Steve Grant. He'll make his way around the lap traffic of Nibblesick. Again, a lot of damage on that 51 machine. He makes his way by Steve Grant. Another Steve that we need to watch tonight is, again, he is running in the top 5. You move back to Spadafora in 6th, Rubino in 7th. Ron Simpson in 8th. 9th is Pauly, again trying to rebound from some of that earlier contact, and then Kevin Roy will round out the top 10.
Yeah, 77 car having a good run here early, now 42 laps into the going, and you see these cars, that was they starting to kind of get settled in here, about 3 or 4 or 5 laps into a run. Tire temps will probably come up the song. The cars up front that have had a couple of different heat cycles now, are their cars starting to react a little bit different now than they may have had about 20 laps ago when we got back to a restart?
And we'll see, Phil, if that can happen right now. Again, still a lot of spreading out here right now, but Herman Rice, again, trying his best to try and run down that 113 of Caleb Lingle the last time by, basically neck and neck, a 16.031 for the 113 machine and a 16.064 for the 73 Cadillac. Something you don't often see here in the NR 2003 world is a guy running a Cadillac right now, but just as we say that, some trouble in turn 1 and the caution's out once again.
Yeah, caution flag on the speedway. I believe this will be number 4 of the night. We slow it back down. Yellow flag on the racetrack. And I believe the 23 of Maverick may have gone around here. And I don't know, pretty hard here at Bristol to maybe get one of those selfies out there. But the John Deere Chevrolet got a little bit squirrely there off of turn number 4. And may have had a little bit of help from behind. I believe a BladeNote.com instant replay. It looks like the 6 of Rich Napick may have gotten to the back of a 23, since Maverick around for a pretty wild little ride there in the back end of that 23 car. Blake, that thing is all tore to pieces.
Yeah, it is, Phil. That 23 machine has seen better days. It looks like going to have a rough go at it at Bristol tonight, as it looks like just a little bit of contact, as you said, from Napick right behind him. And that's just one of those situations where Napick, you work around a guy and you think that you have position going into the lower part of that corner. He's up underneath his tire, and he's going to go in there and try to run his line, and you see the 23 just kind of cut down across his nose. Really nothing that the 6 could have done. An aggressive move by the 6, but nevertheless, I don't think Maverick is going to take any kindly to that, as he has a lot of rear end damage on that 23 John Deere Chevrolet.
Sure does, as we roll it back down under yellow once again, now 47 laps in, and now the race leaders, they've elected to come to pit road. They're not going to wait any longer, and as we approach halfway, I don't think it's a bad time to come in. I see Caleb Lingle down to pit road. I see Herman Reese has decided to stay out on the racetrack, so the 113 giving up that precious track position. You think he maybe heard the footsteps of maybe potentially a long green flag run coming at us?
We'll have to see, Phil. Well, you also have to keep in mind that these guys aren't going to be able to make it 150 laps on fuel. You can actually hear the 113 right now clutching as we are riding under the caution flag. Not sure if that's a product of something that he regularly does. I know for me personally, whenever I'm here in NR 2003, I'm usually clutching under caution just as a precondition for running under caution. You never know when fuel mileage will come into play. But the one thing for the 113 is you have to remember that these guys probably can't make it the entire race without coming down pit road. So Caleb Lingle, figuring that we're about a third of the way through this thing, if we can get a long run right now, he may be setting himself up to where those guys that are still out there have to eventually come down pit road. And the 113, I bet, depending on what the tire wear and fuel wear is, whether it's 2X or 3X, I believe if it's 2X, you may have a good shot of making it here to the end.
Yeah, it is absolutely 2X, and I think that's a great analysis right there, and I think it's a great move. I mean, why not try it now? The window may be open to make it from here if it goes on a green flag run, and, knowing the history of this league, and, just earlier this week, they ran a truck race here at the Bristol Motor Speedway, the very same track, yes, CTS physics, but they had a 92-lap run all the way to the end of the race. So could they do it again here tonight in the Cup cars? A lot remains to be seen, as looks like we're about half a lap away from getting back under green. Herman Reese leads over Harry Cody and Ricky Bumbalo running in third. Steve Grant for fourth. Brendan Spadafora now up into the top 5 with Steve Rubino running in the 6th spot. Randy Smith for 7th. Brett Carter runs 8th. Caleb Lingle, he was scored 9th last time by. And Jason San Diego's number 22 looking to rebound. He's going to restart 10th as green flag goes back in the air.
We're under the green flag once again. It'll now be that 73 machine that will resume the lead. He wasn't able to necessarily break away, but you can see him pull away by just a couple of car lengths over the 13 of Harry Codian, who has marched all the way up to the second spot through this field. Bumbleow, he'll still hang on to third, Steve Grant in fourth, and then Spatafora rounds out the top five.
Sure does. Brendan having a good run here to 37. Jet Nation is going to like that as they are really getting after it. As I've kind of slid back to the back part of, say, the middle part of the top 10, I guess you would say, back here at the Hard Rock Cafe, Pontiac, car number 10, Randy Smith. Those guys sliding around back there, the likes of himself. You find Caleb Lingle, the guy who started the pole, starting to march his way back to the field. He's back there. Brett Carter having a good run. Guys like Ralph Pauly's number 61 is up in the top 5. And how about our very first yellow flag of the night? Old Danny Hardy, the 03. He's rebounded now, running in the 13th spot. And a guy who has won, God, probably hundreds of races over the years, many championships. A guy like Danny Hardy, you get that bad luck away here early. It may, put yourself behind the 8 ball early on, Blake, but Bristol, 150 laps as much as the sprint. If you wreck it early on, you can fight back all night long and salvage a good finish. I'm going to put my money on Danny Hardy. Going to have a really good, solid run here at Bristol the rest of the night.
Well, the great thing about Bristol is you're not dealing with a whole lot of aerodynamics. You're not dealing with a whole lot of speed. So you can even take a hard hit like Hardy had earlier in this race, get a little bit of engine damage. But if you can maintain your corner speed, or speed in the corner, I should say, you're probably still going to have a solid piece. And right now, Danny Hardy, he's showing that he at least had a really strong car coming into the night. And despite some of the damage, he might still be able to compete for a top 10 here.
Absolutely right. I think we're going to see that 03 run really good as I'm just kind of floating around here through the back part of the field. As everybody right now minding their P's and Q's, staying, green flag, staying all single file. And I think they're early on. Driver's mindset, Blake, for the first 50 laps, so this one been slowed by a couple of early yellow flags. At what time does it come to the drivers? Just preach a little bit of patience here. Still a long way to go. A lot can happen from here. If you're going to finish good or even win one of these things, you got to survive on to the end. And the only way to really do that, you got to be patient.
Well, you got to be patient, but also if you're a guy like the 113 of Caleb Lingle, as we can tune in with him right now, he's still running in the 9th spot. He's running about 3 or 4 tenths slower than he did earlier in this event when he had the lead despite some of those fresher tires, but now he's going to be helped down as the yellow flag is out on the speedway once again. But the point I wanted to make is that he was trying to work for several laps to get around the 22 car of Jason Sandiego, and he just wasn't able to do it with the way the physics work in this game. And at Bristol, it is just so difficult if you don't have position on a guy to try and make a pass without having some contact result in a spin in these corners. So Caleb Lingle, you can see right there, he's stuck in the 9th spot, but he didn't have a whole lot of luck trying to get through some of these guys.
No, he did not. Another guy not having no luck here, bringing out our 5th Hanover Record Service yellow flag of the night, the number 77 car of Kevin Roy. It looks like he may have had a little bit of bump from behind. It looks like he may have bottomed out through the corner off of 4, really stacked him up, and Eddie really down the chute just kind of got into the left rear, setting Kevin around. A pretty hard hit there, and yellow flag back on the speedway as a little bit of a parking lot ensued there through the smoke. Lucky we didn't have a bigger wreck than we did, but they get it all sorted out. We go back under the yellow flag. Kevin Roy's car destroyed. Looks like that one going to go right behind the wall. He will join the likes of Keith McLean and Daniel Dupuis back there also, as well as first retiree of the night, number 59 of Duke Sorensen, who was involved in our first yellow flag of the night. So we've been slowed now by 5, 61 laps in. And now the question goes to, we see guys like Caleb Lingle back there, Ralph Pauly, guys that came in and took tires now. What do guys like Herman Reese and Harry Cody and Ricky Bumbleow are like some of the top 3? Does their window open now, or do they run the risk of running another 50 laps and maybe running on the short side?
Well, they're all coming down pit road right now. The biggest thing they want to see is as many drivers following them on pit road as possible. But unfortunately for them, you look out on the racetrack and you can count probably about 15 cars that elected not to come down pit road. A few of these guys may be pitting here in the next couple of laps to continue repairing some damage under some of these caution laps. But a guy like Herman Reese, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's going to be restarting behind 12 other cars. So even though he's going to now have the advantage on fresher tires over a guy like Caleb Lingle that pit on that last pit stop, you're going to be losing all that track position. And we were just talking about how difficult it was for that 113 to move up through the field. You have to imagine that that's only going to double here for the 73, the 85, and a couple of others that elected to come down pit road this past time.
Yep. Yeah, that also includes the likes of Steve Grant come down, Brendan Spadafora came down, Steve Rubino, also Randy Smith, all those guys that were right in that group together, all electing to come to pit road. And it looks like we've had another retiree. Is looks like the 112 of Eddie Rayleigh, the 112 U.S. Army machine. Well, it looks like they're going to call it a night as well. Eddie going to join the legs behind the wall as well. So it looks like we're going to have, call it 24 drivers left on the racetrack. Looks like we're going to have 23 of them left on the lead lap here as we tear a little bit up here as we approach halfway live on your source for esports racing, Full Velocity Racing Network live tonight. Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch TV. Phil Lacasse here. Blake McCandless, Jack chewing on the controls. So we're still toying with the volume a little bit. We're doing the best we can with Blake's volume. Not how much more we can tinker on it without losing our ticker and stuff. So we don't want to screw up there the aesthetic look of the view out there. So we got Blake here with us. I know the sound, the mix sounds decent here. And a couple of guys said the sound mix is pretty good, so we'll keep it rolling along here. But we work still under the yellow flag now. Guys like Harry Cody and going to assume the lead. Jason San Diego, Caleb Lingle, Ron Simpson, Ralph Pauly going to be your top five, Blake, as we already back to green flag racing. 65 laps on the board.
65 laps to go, and Harry Kodian, a guy that we've been talking about as he's been slowly biding his time and working his way up through the field. He's now in the top spot, but how about right behind him? Oh, Kodian gets loose. He's going to use the pit road wall to save it. Let's see if he can get back up on the track without causing a whole lot of trouble. So right now, Harry Kodian patiently worked his way through. He's still having trouble controlling that car. It's a product of these cold tires that you have when you stay out. It makes it really loose. And now another one in front of him. That's the 68 that he goes around, and I believe will bring out a caution flag. And actually, no, we're going to keep going green. Again, that apron, if you spin on the apron, not a whole lot of help as far as getting a caution is concerned.
Yeah, and now we're going to throw the yellow hanky in the air as we have a stack up off of turn number 4. A couple of cars going around, and I believe I caught something, but that may be indeed like a secondary incident here, because I believe the yellow may have already been out, but I saw 3 or 4 cars checked up here off of turn number 4. Somebody took a wild ride, and oh man, I think I saw the 21 of Steve Rubino being up in the air, so maybe he was involved in the initial wreck here off of turn number 4 as we take a look on a BladeNote.com. Full Velocity instant replay. We'll take a look at it. There was a couple things going on. Brian Voiles been around in the 68. Do not believe the yellow came for that. I believe somebody got really loose, and looks like there was a whole lot going on there. Rubino's car got loose. Brendan Spadafora got loose. Jack will give you a look, but this one's pretty peculiar here, Blake, because looks like guys were just running for real estate and just really got loose just trying to avoid each other.
Well, it looks like Steve Rubino, he gets a little bit turned around here on the front straightaway. No caution is out. Again, he spun out on the apron and kept it down there, so no caution yet thrown. But then Rubino's going to try to come back up onto the track right in front of the leaders. He stops against the outside wall. That's what's going to bring out the yellow flag, and unfortunately, there's just nowhere to go for Ron Simpson. He's digging off of turn number 4. He can't see that far ahead. He tries to throw it on the brakes too late, so big, heavy damage for the 25 for Ron Simpson, as well as Steve Rubino, who was just trying to get turned around, but unfortunately for him, major damage on that Hobo racing machine, as well as the 25 car who's now on pit road.
Yeah, both those cars absolutely destroyed. I'm not sure those are either going to be repairable. That is a tough break as Steve was having a good run here early on in the going, but we're approaching halfway. 70 laps in of 150. We'll take a quick pause here. Live at your source for esports racing. We'll come back live at the restart. Don't go anywhere. We'll come right back at you on the other side. All right, back here live on the Full Velocity Racing Network, getting ready to set to go here for the restart. The Bristol Motor Speedway, 72 laps on the board. Racing, I flag, green flag goes back in the air now. Jason San Diego, how about a turnabout's a fair play? 22 car was out in the penthouse to the outhouse, and he leads the field back to green. Number 22, but Caleb Lingle, our Polson of the 113, he's stalking him like prey. 2 car lengths down the front stretch.
He is, but again, what he's going to have to do is get a run off the corner. You can see him try to diamond the corner right behind him, but at least for now, not a whole lot doing. Jason San Diego looks like he has a little bit of a looser machine right now. He's just going to try to have to keep it pinned to the bottom and get as good of a corner exit as possible, but he's going to have a little bit of time to worry about that as the caution flag is out once again.
Yeah, right at the halfway mark, 75 laps of 150 in, and we slow it back down. Yellow, 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 and this one is a big parking lot over in turns number 1 and 2, and that'd be 3 and 4. We see where this one kind of all started is it looks like somebody had a little disagreement of space or bottomed out. Looks like around the 16 of Brian Voiles. I see the 31 of Jeff Stakanis around. And we'll see here on a BladeNo.com full velocity instant replay where this one kind of started from. Looks like a 31. The Dodge gets a little bit, no, looks like right in front of him. The 44 of Danny Rubino got loose. The 31 car checks up, and that's that old accordion effect on the short track. One guy gets loose, you let the guy save it, and the guys behind you can't just slow up enough, and that's a parking lot over there in the corner. That's got a whole lot more cars all tore up, including that number 31 of Jeff Stakanis, a guy who's really good on the short tracks. Looks like his night may have come to a premature end here.
You're exactly right, Phil. Just nowhere to go. When you're coming off a corner, and we saw that last time with Ron Simpson, when you're coming off the corner, it's really difficult to see in front of you on the straightaway just because of how fast things happen. You can see a wreck happening in front of you, but you can never really predict where guys are going to be, if they're going to spin down to the wall because of the banking here at Bristol Motor Speedway. So like you said, just nothing that 68 car in particular could do about that one. And unfortunately, when you don't slow down here, there's just some massive wrecks as the 68. It looks like he's going to have to park that car for the night. And some of these guys just struggling here. You run under caution for all of these laps, and it really cools down these tires. These guys are running open setups. They're already loose as it is. And because of those cold tires that you get on these restarts, that's only going to make the problem even worse.
Yeah, you cool those tires down, they become really hard to handle, and that's what we're seeing here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. And there's a guy who knows anything about tire wear in this simulation. I got the best partner in the business for that here tonight, a guy who this is cerebral for saving his stuff, a guy who I've seen win a lot of races over the years at the Bristol Motor Speedway. But for a guy like yourself, Blake, who for a long time has just done a lot of racing here over the summertime, you have kept yourself pretty busy over the course of the summer. I know a guy who's been on the airwaves quite a bit over the years, but you've kind of taken a back seat to sim racing and chasing a lot of other things going on. For guys that may not know or want to introduce guys, the people out there who don't know what you've been up to, give us a little bit of a glimpse of what you've been up to here these last couple of months.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be able to travel around with the summer collegiate baseball team, the Forest City Owls, and the Coastal Plain League this past summer, do a little bit of broadcasting for them. Got to do 52 games all throughout the summer, travel around with the team. It was really quite an experience. I'm really thankful for it, but I guarantee you one thing, I'm having to talk a lot faster here at Bristol doing sim racing than I am having to do baseball. It's a little bit of a slower game. You know that pretty well, being a baseball guy yourself, Phil, but nevertheless, a really eye-opening experience, really cool. But again, I'm just happy to be back here doing sim racing. As much as I loved baseball, I think racing is my true passion and something I really enjoy doing. So really glad to be back here on the Full Velocity Network airwaves, or at least the original Full Velocity Network, but we can talk about that later, as it looks like we're heading back to the green flag.
Absolutely right. If guys, followed our career, we once upon a time were the Full Velocity Network. That's where Blake goes back to us too. Always be a part of the Full Velocity family as we go back to racing on lap number 80. Caleb Lingle now going to reassume the lead over Ralph Pauly, Gary Morin, Ryan Johnson, and Rich Knappick, our buddy up here from the Great Northeast in car number 6. He has broke his way over the top 5. Maverick is number 23, a guy who I thought his night was going to be destroyed. I mean, the back end of a 23 car, there's nothing left. It shows how much aerodynamics here at Bristol don't matter. 23 car running in 6th, and a piece that looks like it's been shortened up by about a good 3 feet.
Well, it looks like we're going to have some trouble here as Brian Spaff.
Oh, no.
He's going to go around right at the exit of turn number 4. Again, a little bit of a parking lot. Most of these guys able to avoid him. And really, I think that's what the accordion effect is of a guy like Maverick, because you lose the rear end of the car. That's going to make it loose, and unless you really take some wedge out, you're going to kind of cause a stack up behind you, and it looks like that's exactly what happened as Spadafora having to check up in the middle of the corner. He's already loose as it is. He loses the tail end of it and tries to minimize the damage. It looks like a lot of these guys are going to get through unscathed in terms of major damage, but again, another yellow flag caused by a little bit of a checkup, and just these guys are driving on ice right now.
They really are, and you look at the back of that Two Guns Films, you know, Full Throttle with the Gent, sponsored car number 37, our buddy out there from Gent Nation. I am sure YouTube is going to be up in a panic seeing that car around as he was having a hell of a night. And Blake, I'm not sure what you know about our buddy Brendan, but I know you're a NASCAR guy. You like NASCAR talk and stuff. You have not checked out Brendan's talk show here. It's called Full Throttle with the Gent, Gent. You got to look this up over on YouTube. It's a great podcast-style type show. He goes over a lot of the happenings, basically the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup world, covers a lot of stuff. Very insightful, informative, very funny. I think if you're looking for a good little program and a guy who does a lot for us here at the network, I can't endorse it enough. Check out Full Throttle with the Gent. It is a really cool little podcast. Brendan does a great job, and he, just like you and just like all of us years ago, we just love this sport, want to be a part of it in some way, and Brendan has found his niche, this little podcast style show, and it's pretty dang good. It's got trivia, it's got all this cool stuff that I think you'd enjoy.
Oh, no doubt about it, Phil. I think I'm going to have to tune into that a little bit. Again, trying to kind of, I guess, wind down a little bit from the baseball season and being so focused on that and traveling around. May have some time to tune into that. Haven't listened to it yet, but I think as soon as this race takes the checker flag tonight, I may have to tune into that. It sounds like a really cool type of deal, and obviously I've heard you guys talk about them. It's a great podcast as well, so no doubt about that I think I'll have to give my endorsement to that as well as soon as I can listen to it myself. But we'll go ahead and, I guess, fast forward here to the action we have going on here tonight as we look up already on lap 85, despite the amount of yellow flags we've had. Still a lot of action left to be decided, but the laps are ticking down. The 113 of Caleb Lingle, he's cycled back around to the lead. He's clutching once again under the yellow flag. Again, I have to wonder, I don't want to speculate too much and try to make something out of it that's not there. But is that 113 clutching just out of habit, or because, you know, there might be some fuel mileage strategy that he has to play? I remember actually pulling on the track, and at least from the F3 menu that is in-game menu, it looks like you can make about 85 laps on fuel. The 113 of Lingle pit about 100 laps ago, so do you think he's trying to make it here to the end?
Absolutely. I think that's exactly what he's trying to do. He's regained the track position back. You got to think here, 85 laps probably tailored under green. You got to think you're probably saving, or, you know, 2 yellow laps equals 1 green lap, the old methodology. I think for sure. I think he is clutching a death out of that thing. Something I have never been good at. Something I know you're pretty decent at. I think that's exactly what he's doing, but I think he's going to stretch it from almost close to 20 laps, so he may be enjoying seeing these yellow flags, especially now at track position. You want to save every drop of fuel you can, and I think Caleb Lingle, he may be onto something, but fuel may be an issue. Tires could be another one, because his tires are going to be a little bit older than these guys. They go on a long green flag run. I wonder how his stuff holds up over a guy like, say, Herman Reese or Ricky Bumbalo, or guys that are restarting outside the top 5 as we go back to green.
Well, I think the one thing Lingle is relying on, because the looseness in this racetrack is not going to change if we keep having all these restarts. You just want to keep the track position. And if you can get to the end, I really like this call from the 113 Blue Jay Ford that is out there in the top spot. But we'll see what happens once again. How long can we go green? We're about to find out.
Absolutely right. We'll go back to it. Caleb Lingle leads. Oh, look at somebody loose there off of turn number 4, and it was right up ahead of where I was watching. I believe it was a 78 of Ryan Johnson. RJ's the B-Dubs car. Wicked loose off turn number 2. Was able to catch it. Didn't stack nobody up, but a wild ride. Now looks like a battle. Is that for the second spot? I believe the 40 of Morin and the 61 of Pauly. It's a pretty good little race we got going on there. That's for position off turn number 2.
And how about Morin in that Bud Light Beer Chevrolet, a guy we haven't talked a whole lot about tonight, but if you can make it through the carnage and find your way to the front, you can get that track position that you need to try and make something happen. As Paulie right in front of him, he's going to slide around and allow Morin to move up and take that second spot, as Paulie looks like he's fighting a loose race car with a little bit of damage on the right door. But how about Morin, a guy that has bided his time, waited patiently, and he's now up to the second spot.
Absolutely right. As we slow it back down once again, caution flag on the speedway. And yeah, I echo that sentiment for the 40 car as well. A guy who's new to the scene over here, Hobo, has just joined on over the last couple of weeks, and he's put a couple of really dang good runs together. But this one looks like the 85 of Ricky Bumbalo, guy we spotlighted, was up there running the top 3 early, came in, got those tires, and one of those cold tires, mid-pack, having a checkup in other spots that you may not be accustomed to. Looks like the Gas Monkey Chevrolet just got a little bit teensy-weensy loose off of 4. May have clipped the apron, around he goes. And Blake, we've come to call that's a selfie right there to bring out the yellow.
It is, and again, I think you explained it perfectly. Sitting back mid-pack, nowhere to really go. You're already sliding around as it is, and you're having to check up because other guys are sliding around. It's just an accordion effect here that continues to plague this race. We see a couple of cars come down on pit road, only 2 right now. It's going to be the 85, and actually we're also going to see the 61 of Paulie. He's going to surrender the 3rd spot to come down and try to get some 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles put on his America's Navy machine. Again, we saw him up front. He was struggling with the handling of that race car in hopes that some fresh tires here can get him to the end. But I think what we were talking about right before that last restart, you're right, Phil, because if you pit now, you got to think that a guy like Paulie that's putting on 4 fresh tires right now, you're probably going to keep this thing to the end. You're not going to come down pit road anymore, barring some damage or sliding the tires, locking them up, something like that. So is a guy like Caleb Lingle that is out there in the top spot that has to go the last potential 50 laps on old tires where his tires are already about 50 laps old. How do you think he handles that?
Oh, man, I don't really know. 50 laps. What I think we need more than anything else, you need to get a little bit of heat on the tires. They're cold. They're going to be slick. The racetrack we know is really loose. The game version always had a little bit lesser grip than the newer versions that did get modified out here over the years. So I think right now, and I dealt with this on Saturday night a little bit, you know, the loose race car, this part of the race, you're trying to survive from here. If I'm a guy like the 85 right now, I'm going to try to salvage the best run I can get. I'm not going to overdo it. I'm not going to push too hard. I'm going to do what they call kind of thin the herd. You know they're going to see some wrecks here at Bristol. You know, we started, 29 cars. I think we're down to 20 left running on the racetrack. So that's 1/3 of the field already behind the wall. That's exactly what I did Saturday night. Had a car that was probably about a top 15, top 17 car, brought it home 11th, and that was just a product of being out there surviving with a piece that really wasn't that good, but sometimes that's what you got to do. And I think if I'm the 85, knowing I've got a good fast piece, at this point, just keep it under you and get the best points that you can.
No doubt about that, and again, there's some guys out there using that exact same strategy that you mentioned, just trying to bring it home, and I think Gary Morin, who is up there in that 2nd spot, represents that perfectly. How about right behind him, Brian Johnson, a guy that was back in the pack a little bit early on. He's restarting in the 3rd position with coming around to 54 laps to go. So a couple of these guys try to utilize that strategy, just bring her home and keep her safe, because at Bristol, that means probably a good finish.
Certainly does, and I got to say hello to the gang over on the Facebook Live side of things, where I seen our partner Todd has been holding court over there for a little while. Guys looking at it saying, this ain't the normal iRacing we're doing. No, absolutely not, and good to see you guys over there. Got to say a shout out, as always, to my buddy Andy Margot, and he, always keeps me entertained out here on a broadcast night. We certainly appreciate that as we go back to racing, and now we're about 2 laps shy, Blake, of putting triple digits on the board, 98 on there. Caleb Lingle leads, and that car driving away. Gary Moore and Ryan Johnson, they run 2nd and 3rd. Look at the speed that 113 car has. He was a pole sitter here tonight, and you see all that speed. It's still definitely sitting at the race car.
It certainly is a 16.2 that last time by. Morin back in 2nd, a 16.4. So 0.2 of a second. Pretty big gap that he's putting on right here, and you can go back mid-pack and look at these lap times. Guys are stacked up at about 16.5s because there's just really nowhere else to go. Everybody's kind of lined up, really hard to pass, having to check up. So again, that track position is key king right now for Lingle, as he even threw down a 16-1 that last time up. So as the tires are starting to put a little bit of heat in him, he's starting to speed up and drive away from this field.
And is it conceivable, because we think back to qualifying where they were setting down like 15.5s, they're running 16.1s. Is that kind of speed still out there possible in these race cars if we put any green flag laps down?
I guess that's...
I guess we put a period on that there for a second, as we got yellow flag back on the speedway. I've lost count. I threw the pen away a long time ago. We slow it back down, and I do know I see a car out there smoking like we're picking a new Pope or something, and I believe that's the 17 of the old pushrod Bob Becker, his car around, and not sure he was a start or the finish. Oh, no, it was right up ahead of him. Jack will give us a look here to BladeNo.com, full velocity instant replay, and I believe, this may be team-on-team violence going on over here, and unfortunately, guys like Blake and myself know all too well what that's like. Danny Hardy getting in the outside wall off of 4, checks up the 029. KJ's got nowhere to go. That is team racing right there, back in the field. Both those cars tore up, and slowing it back down again is just past the century mark.
Team-on-team action, and it comes because the 03 gets really high off the exit of turn number 4. He gets into the outside wall. The 029 of Kilojoules, he's trying to do his best to avoid the 03. Because of that, he gets that left front just on the apron exiting turn 4. That gets him a little squirrely. He loses the tail end of the race car, tries to collect it, and goes right into the 03 Goodwrench Chevrolet of Hardy right there. And again, just another product of when you're trying to skate on thin ice, it's just so hard, and I hope the viewers out there really understand it, how difficult it is when you're skating on ice. These guys, a lot of these wrecks, it's not guys fighting hard for position and necessarily diving it into a corner and getting into the back of a guy. It's really just the product of checking up and already being loose and trying to save it and stay off of a guy that causes these accidents. If anything, it's a little bit of a different approach, conservative driving being a little bit of the culprit tonight in terms of these cautions that we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is open setup racing, but keep in mind there's only so much adjustability you can have in race conditions. You can do some tire pressure, you can do some wedge things, but if there's just something off with the balance of the race car as far as maybe shifting some weight or a shock change or whatever, you don't have that luxury in a green flag or race condition at this point. So basically what you put in there, the time you put in with the setup, I guess your bet is kind of made. If it throws a condition at you that maybe you weren't, prepared for, it can make for a really long night here at Bristol. And for a couple of guys, we're definitely seeing that out here this evening.
And certainly causing some issues out there, Phil. But let's go ahead and give you guys out there that have been tuning in and staying loyal to us a little bit of a rundown right here on the leaderboard. As now 19 cars remain on the track. It's going to be Maverick that is in first. He'll resume the lead after playing some strategy here, staying out on the racetrack. Ralph Pauly, he'll be the 61 in second place. Herman Rice, he's rebounded up to third. Steve Grant in fourth. Randy Smith fifth. Harry Kodian, he's back up in sixth. Jason San Diego, he'll round out the seventh spot. The 51 of Nebelsick, he'll be in eighth. Spadafora rounds it out in ninth, and then rounding out the top 10 is going to be the 85 of Bumbalo.
Well, that's your top 10 as we sit here on lap number 106. You find Rich Napick back in 11th. Rob Keller, I haven't talked about the 57 all night long. He currently runs in position number 12. 13th is Danny Rubino. Brett Carter is 14th. Caleb Lingle, guy who was up there leading the race, he pitted once again. He currently runs back there in 15th. Gary Morin, he also elected to come to pit road. He runs 16th. Ryan Johnson, 17th. Danny Hardy's 18th. Kilojoules, 19th. And I believe he's going to be the final car on the racetrack. The rest of the drivers that were out here tonight, Blake, unfortunately, they'll ball behind the wall. They're not going to see the final 43 laps of this one on racing conditions. As we go back to green flag racing, Ralph Pauly going to assume the lead from Maverick.
Pauly resumes the lead. As we saw earlier, he's fighting a little bit of a loose race car. You see him get on the apron right there as he's holding it on right in front of the field. Maverick sitting back there in second. I think it's really just the 73 and how quick he can pounce and try to get around these cars that are damaged in front of him and are obviously fighting some loose conditions. How quickly can he try to get in front of these guys and pull away? As you see right now, he'll pull to the outside of the 23, and it looks like he will clear them going into 1 and 2. He'll have it on the outside. Not something we see often at Game Bristol, but he makes it work. He's in the second spot.
Sure is. That was a big move right there. I was holding my breath because there was some cars sliding around. The 11 of Steve Grant was loose. Randy says it was Harry Cody. Yeah, and he has to go all the way down to the apron. almost once again using the inside wall for a little bit of leverage to keep the car straight. So these cars right now, they're ice skating. You're hoping they come up the song, but you can see it in the opening laps of the restart. I mean, there's no better term. We're ice skating right now. We need to just hopefully get some tire temps up there and let these guys go at it. They still got 40 laps of racing left to go, so I gotta take my breath back there, Blake. The 13 was halfway around, the 10 car was halfway around. We got some trying times here right now as we lap 112 on the board.
Trying times unless you're the guy that's now sitting in the number 1 spot. P1 on the board is now the 73 of Herman Rice. He made it look easy as he went around Pauly, who again still struggling with the handling of that machine. But one guy that is not feeling those struggles that we've seen played this field tonight is that 73 Cadillac. He has put quite a distance, nearly 7/10 of a second, having the lead for just 2 laps. He's really got that 73 hooked up. We'll see what he extends his advantage to now. 1.14 seconds. So he is 4/10 of a second faster than the second place guy at Bristol. That is quite a pace that he's setting right now.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I've seen Herman win tons of races over the years, and you put that caddy out front, he usually puts that thing in a big way. A guy who is really, really good at the short track. 73, I am not shocked at all, as we get a couple around, and this should no doubt put us in a yellow flag again. Yes, it will, and I know it for sure. I was back here riding around the 10 car Randy Smith. There was some contact out there. Yellow flag on the speedway. I believe the 13 of Harry Codian may have got a bump from the 37 of Brendan Spadafora, so slow it back down on lap 116. Just as these cars were starting to come in a little bit, put that pesky hit on a record service. You got record back on the racetrack. Caution on the speedway once again, and said to slow it back down. I believe guys like Rob Keller getting a piece of this one is Jack will give it a look, but I believe Brendan probably a little bit upset with himself there. Probably overdrove the corner and set off what looked like another chain reaction wreck behind.
Yeah, he definitely is the guilty party in that one, but it's just so hard. There was a huge checkup right in front of him. It all started with the 23 of Maverick, who, again, was doing a nice job riding around in the 3rd position with that damaged race car. But you can see the 37 of Spadafora, he locks up the tires right before he gets into Cody Ann, so it wasn't for a lack of trying. He didn't try to run over the 13 machine, but there was just such a huge checkup going into one, and if you're already as loose as it is, it's really hard to stop if you're, just not planning on it going into the corner. So he gives the 13 a little tap, and with the way contact works here, it sends him around, and it'll bring out yet another yellow flag. So one guy that didn't want to see that was that 73 of Herman, because he was driving away from this field.
He certainly was, and now with 118 laps on the board, it's going to restack the field back up, but unfortunately, we're losing more really good cars out of here. Brendan Spadafora is number 37. Jen Nation, I'm sorry to report, he will probably join us out here in chat shortly because 37 car going behind the wall. Brendan's got the gloves. He's firing them down. All done for the night, as is Rob Keller's number 57. Brett Carter's number 66. He's down on pit road. He got some damage there. So we talk about like a place like Bristol for notoriously, it's probably one of the most exciting places to watch a race at. The problem with it is, race car drivers were all aggressive. We all like to try to do the best we can with it. Feelings. It's a place you really got to leave your feelings at the door, keep your emotions in check, and after, some yellow flags, doing the best you can, holding on for dear life, that fuse can only get so short sometimes, and sometimes it just boil over, and it's really hard to keep your emotions underneath you here at a place like this, is it not?
Oh, it can be really frustrating, even if you're a guy that's not necessarily been involved in some of these accidents, but if you're a guy that has been up battling for the lead and, you want this thing to go green, you have a really strong car, you want to try to drive away from this field. This is a track where if you have something that's really lined up for you, you can go and start lapping people really early on in this run. You look at the kind of time gap that's between the field. Our leader's usually running about a 16 flat, and the guys in the back of the path are running about a half a second slower. So if you're up in the front, it can be frustrating as well because you want to drive away, put as many guys a lap down as possible, and just keep cruising on to a win. So it can be frustrating whether you're that or whether you're riding in the middle of this pack and having to avoid all this carnage.
Absolutely right. It's a place that you said you cannot be involved on nothing at all, and just have a miserable night trying to survive. And I can, attest to that here from my excerpts out here over the weekend. Is all four corners on my race car where they were beat to crap, and I wasn't involved in anybody's wreck or even caused any of my own all night long. I just beat the death out of the right side of the car off the wall, got it loose like Harry did, used the inside wall, places to play. Just the tendency to spit you out and chew you up and really aggravate you. As we go back to green flag racing, Herman Reese going to assume command at the lead. He's going to take off there, call the 8-car legs down the back chute.
And again, a lot of cars right behind him that have been struggling and haven't been running up front most of this race, so he's going to try and take advantage of that and pull away. Right now, it's going to be Steve Grant who's challenging for the second spot with the 61 right in front of him. Again, some more damage that has surfaced on that Navy machine as he'll try again to hold these guys off. Steve Grant going to have to do a nice job, get a good exit off of a corner to try to get around that 61 machine, and he's got a mirror full of the 22 right behind him.
Sure does. Jason San Diego breathing down his neck of that 22, racing for position number 3, 85 versus 11 as we work through the east end of the speedway over in turn number 1 and 2. Herman Reese trying to just check away from these guys. Ralph Pauly holding on for second there, and then you look back to this race for third between Grant and San Diego. Bumbalow's there, and do not count out Caleb Lingle with the 113, fastest car in Bristol all night long. Well, all of a sudden, Caleb's around Ricky Bumbalow, put the 113 now back into the top 5. Does he have a realistic chance here? Can he run down the 73 over 25 laps?
I don't think he can run him down on one spurt. He's going to have to get by a couple of these guys and then get a yellow flag because he does have fresher tires than that 73 out there. I'm sure the 73 would rather have the track position, but if the 113 can find a way around the 22 here as he'll try to get a run off of 4 but not able to make it work going into 1. If he can find a way to get around some of these cars and get a quick yellow, he'll be right in the mix.
And that's exactly the way you say it there. You're just going to find a way around. So dang tough to pass. Usually a guy like myself cannot say my stuff to keep a good run underneath me, but Caleb going to have to do just that with Jason San Diego having another strong run this week in the top 5. And how about the run? I am so impressed tonight. A guy like Ralph Pauly, a guy who we haven't seen run up front all season. Haven't really talked a whole lot about Ralph having a terrific night. 61 now up to second, but we're going to race for third. Steve Grant up the racetrack. Here comes Jason San Diego down low. Here comes Caleb Lingle. This may be something in 113 is the 11 car just got a little bit loose, pushed out of the groove, and sometimes that's all it takes. Miss your mark, and you can go from third all the way back to maybe as far as 10th if they get in line.
Well, the 113 was happy about that. The 22 and the 11 side by side for a couple of laps, holding him up. Now he has a little bit of clean racetrack. He's trying to find a way around this 22, but it's a little bit difficult because Jason San Diego is warping just a little bit. That kind of makes it a little bit hard to pass, especially at Bristol where everything's one groove. The 61 is loose once again. We'll see if they go to the low side of the racetrack. The 22 blocks the move. The 113 going to try to get a run, but he has to check up. And again, see, that's why track position is so important here. He's running 16.2s while Herman Reese out in the front of this pack has nothing to worry about. He's pulling about 2/10 away from him every single lap. So despite the fresher tires, there's just nothing that Lingle can do to try to make it by these guys.
No, but you can see with 22 almost gets a little bit tight right there, as does a 61. There's no place for Caleb to go. When you look at the interval, it continues to grow up front. Now 2.5 seconds. The interval for Herman Reese over Ralph Pauly back there in second, as now the 22 down to the low side. This is a pretty dang good race for second, but there's just no drama going on up front. They race behind. Now look at that interval. Over 3 seconds between Herman Reese and this race going on for second, which is a damn good one, but they're losing time up front, and if this thing stays green, they all may be out of time.
Well, the 113 there had to check up. He gets a little bit loose into the outside wall. It's going to cause a checkup behind him, and now Gary Morin, he's into this one. 4 or 5 cars. Some big damage on the 23 of Maverick. He's smoking. That's going to bring out a yellow flag. It may actually be what Lingle wanted to see because he was just not having any luck getting around the 22 and the 61 who were just up there sliding around, but unfortunately that checkup caused an accident directly behind them, and it's going to really spice things up here with about 15 laps to go.
Sure is. Going to set up the stage for what is going to be a really good old-fashioned short track finish here on a Tuesday night. Leblano.com. Full Velocity Instant Replay. Jack has gotten really good at these things over the last couple of weeks, and you're doing a hell of a job down there tonight. All things working great. Jack Truan on the controls. I'm going to show you again. 40 car of Gary Moore involved. I believe Roger Nevillesick was back there. I think we saw the 13 of Harry Codian getting a piece of the mix. Maverick gets a big hit there with the 23. That car smoking pretty heavily, and hopefully that's not weird. But you talk about the brake the 113 may need, and I look at the right side of that race car, Blake. It kind of looks like my Ford the other night. Right side all caved in. It almost has the shape of a banana. Is that going to just change the way that 113 is going to handle? Because I know aerodynamics don't play a big role here, but you got to have a car that turns well through the corner. How much is that hurt race car going to be affected by all the damage on that right side?
Yeah, under 15 to go. Just a little bit of right side damage. It's Bristol. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I like it. You got to go. It's time to go. And what better way to put it out here live on a Tuesday night? And really glad you have all chose to join us here this evening on Full Velocity Racing Network. No Facebook Live. Got a couple of stragglers over there all night. YouTube are usually the place to be with the Hobo Racing guys. Twitch TV also out there as well. So appreciate all the support y'all give us night after night. Without y'all, none of this is possible, and nothing's possible without the great sponsors here at the network. Great people like the Voiles family, Brian and Kathy Voiles. Got to thank all of them. Check them out today over on Facebook. Great people. They've done so much for not only, us here at the Full Velocity Racing Network, but so many, not only NR 2003 leagues over the years, but they've also branched out to support some iRacing stuff as well. So a big hats off to Brian and Kathy Voiles. They've been around this community, Blake, for a long, long time, and it's great people that give back like them who I believe are really responsible for not only keeping broadcast entities like us alive, but keeping this great sim still alive.
No doubt about it. It takes a full community, and a lot of guys step up and really make this thing work. And I mean, could you imagine it, Phil? It's 2019, and here we are on a Tuesday night enjoying some good racing from a sim that, just crossed the 16-year mark here just earlier this year in February. Can you imagine that we're still around and we're even broadcasting it on Twitch and all these things that probably didn't even exist 16 years ago? But that just shows that some guys in the community really step up, and including guys like you with your league at TDR, just guys make it happen and make this sim worth coming back to every night.
Absolutely is. A lot of great attraction leagues out there. This one at Hobo, a great league. Multiple nights a week of racing. Great group. Get a hold of them today over at hoboracing.com, as I believe we got the stage set here. About a 10-lap shootout. No overtime, unfortunately. 16 years ago, we ended up overtime. I know we've seen a couple of those finishes over on iRacing here recently, but I don't know if we can ever really properly get one done here on the pavement. But single file restart, going to be the way of the land. Chevrolet Corvette. Full Velocity pace car almost takes the orange cone out. We go back to racing. 141 laps on the board. Herman Reese going to lead the field over in turn one. Has already got one car around. 61's around.
The 61's around. The 22 got under his door. He'll do some barrel rolling end over end here at Bristol. Not something you see too often, as he'll now rested on all fours. He's got some heavy damage on that 61 machine. And Phil, last 10 laps, these guys get desperate. It looks like the 61 spun his tires a little bit. The 22 of Jason San Diego was going to go for that spot here in the last 10 laps. He went to the inside here and really just nowhere to go. A parking lot in turns 2 and 3. But how about the guy that escapes with the second spot? It's the 85 of Bumbalo. He was in 5th on that restart, and he gets all the way up to P2.
Absolutely. That Gas Monkey machine now all the way up to that second spot, and that is a big way to capitalize on a late race mishap right there. But tough break. Paulie was having a terrific run here tonight, and as Jack shows here on the replay, got really loose on the restart. Jason got into the back of that car and sets off a wild ride. Caleb Ling on the side, and barrel rolling at Bristol. They always said it was impossible. We've seen it happen before. It's happened for real before. You just can't, you never appreciate the illusion of what speed really is, Blake, until you get hit in a place like Bristol, broadside like that in the door, just get tumbled over like that. We're not exactly crawling at a half mile anymore, are we?
No, especially not here in the last couple of laps when guys know that their race is on the line, even though Herman Rice here recently has pulled into the lead and has been out front for a good bit of this thing here at the end. A guy like the 85 of Bumbelow, all it takes is a good restart and really just one good corner to get in front of that 73, and that may be enough to hold him on for the race. Again, it's really been the theme of the night about how difficult it is to pass, and it's because here at the original Bristol that was made back in 2003 when this game was first created, you all remember how the racing was here at Bristol. You had to run the bottom, and that was about it. Well, that's exactly what the game replicates, and so if you're not able to really get good position on the inside of a guy going into turn one, there's really nothing you can do as far as passing a guy because you got to check up off the corner, and it's just hard to get a run down the straightaway unless you really just beat him off of the corner. So it seems like track position's been the name of the game, but if the 85 can get a good restart and can get to the inside of that 73, we'll see if we can have a race here these last couple laps.
Absolutely right. We're setting up our, looks like maybe about a good old-fashioned 3 or 4 lap shootout here. Is believe the lights should go atop the pace car this time around. So what do you say? Herman Reese with the lead there over Ricky Bumbelow. Steve Grant currently running in third. You got Jason San Diego, Randy Smith right there, the number 10 car, Pontiac running in the top 5. You've got Brett Carter having a hell of a night. He runs 6th aboard car number 66. 7th, we find Harry Cody and Rich Knappick in a restart. 8th, Caleb Lingle 9th, and Danny Rubino. Bino up there with a good solid top 10. Good run for Danny. He really needed one. KJ, Keila Jules, the points leader, back there in 11th, and it has been a very quiet night for a guy who usually out there on the racetrack is anything but quiet, but I got a little bit of a, back channel knowledge from KJ. Says, the only way I could get TV time tonight, Blake, was to wreck, and that's exactly what he did. I kind of tongue-in-cheek went back to him and said, you need to go faster to get some TV time, and he says, no chance, car's crap, I have no setup in this thing. He's running no setup. You know, you go in there, you click on the setup tab, it's blank. Holy crap, dude.
Can't even do fast set here, Bristol. I'm sure that's what some of these guys wish they would have run because it was just a little tighter. Because you look through this field, 17th through 29th is behind the wall right now. So if you could just get through this race, you'd be in a pretty good spot. But right now, the guy in the best spot, in the catbird seat, is going to be that 73 machine who's going to have to hang on here with just a couple of laps to go.
Absolutely right. We'll get into this discussion for another day here. What the heck is a catbird? But it looks like we've got a quick yellow flag, and I believe we have just seen the last lap of green flag racing of the night here as it came out really quick off of turn number 2. Herman Reese going to win the race back to the line here to lap number 148. So I do not believe we're going to have enough time to even get back to a restart as we take a quick look here to see if we can't figure out what happened. As it's been a very busy night for Jack down there in the Full Velocity Racing Network trailer. He has done a great job all night long, bringing us all the pictures, the sights, and the sounds of the Bristol Motor Speedway. And I'm trying to see, I see a parking lot. I'm trying to figure out who's around, and it's kind of tough to tell. There's a 13 car slow up here again. He's out of the groove. It's happening quick out here tonight. We've seen a lot of this whole chaos all night long, and it's the last 5 laps of a race at Bristol. I think the time for giving is all gone. It's all take time, and I think we've seen our last take of the night. Unfortunately, Blake, it looks like it's going to end this race under yellow.
That's unfortunate, Phil. You saw it right on your screen. That's another reason that track position is so important here. A yellow comes out here in the last couple of laps, and it's really just a race to the line. And fortunately for the 73 Arise, he was getting a little bit of under fire there from the 85 of Bumbelow, but fortunately for him, he's right behind the start-finish line when the yellow flag comes out, so he crosses it immediately, and I think that's going to be enough for him to win this race. Bumbelow, a valiant effort, but he'll come back home in second.
Absolutely right, as I believe, did we just take the white flag of the field there behind the pace car? Yep, believe that was a white flag here, so one more quick pace lap around here under yellow. Going to be a coronation lap for car number 73. Herman Reese going to pick up the win here tonight. Voiles Trucking Hobo Racing Cup Series run here every Tuesday night. Ricky Bumbelow going to get a great run tonight. Second in the number 85. Steve Grant will get third. Jason San Diego, Randy Smith going to be your top 5 as checker flag win up in the air. It is Herman Reese going to take down the big win. We will talk to him and the rest of our top 3. We'll get it sorted out. Post-race show here on the Full Velocity brought to you by BladeNode.com. Coming right at you next. Don't go away. Back here live on the Full Velocity Racing Network post-race show brought to you by BladeNode.com. Herman Reese taking down the win here tonight in Bristol over Ricky Bumbalo. And our third place finisher now aboard car number 11, Steve Grant, going to be trackside with our buddy, Mr. Blake McCandless. I play a little bit of traffic here. Let's get Steve the conversation. Blake, I believe you have that driver trackside.
I do. I'm with the driver of the 11, Steve Grant. Well, Steve, you made it through all the carnage and you end up third. How about you tell us about the night you had?
It was a pretty wild one, wasn't it?
Oh, no doubt about it. We were definitely watching it right there with you, and it just seemed like tonight it was a night of attrition where you really just had to kind of hold on to your stuff and try to get through. Kind of describe what that was like for you tonight.
It's the same as it always is at Bristol. It's just kind of track position, but Herman had a really good car. I never really got up there to race with him. I kind of always got stuck behind something or somebody or whatever. It's just the way it goes.
No doubt about that. And I think one thing our viewers would like to know out there, it just seems like you guys were really just sliding around a lot tonight. Can you just try to explain to us kind of what that's like sitting in your car?
I ran my setup a little bit tighter tonight, so I didn't really feel like my car was loose that much.
Well, it obviously worked out for you, Steve, as you end up here P3 tonight. I'll go ahead and give the microphone to you. If you want to give anybody a shout out, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Steve and all the admins at Hobo and Voiles Trucking for putting on all these races. It's really great that they stepped up and did all that. It's a great bunch of guys to race with. I love racing here. It's the best league I've ever been in.
Well, we're glad to hear that, Steve. I don't too much disagree with you, as there's a reason that guys keep coming back here and filling up a 30-car field here on a Tuesday night at Bristol, where some people may shy away from it. But congratulations on your P3 tonight, and hopefully we'll see you back up here in the booth shortly.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys.
All right, Steve Grant, there our third place finisher aboard car number 11. We'll play a little bit more traffic. Give Blake a brief second here. He'll take a little bit more of a run down pit road. Is guy who's doing a whole lot better I am in shape, of course, and let him talk to our second place finisher tonight aboard car number 85. That'll be Ricky Bumbalo.
What's going on, man?
User was moved out of your
Not much, Ricky. Well, there's one thing that I've been wondering since we saw that last restart. Take us back to 10 to go. You're sitting back in the 5th position. You have some fresher tires than the guys in front of you. What is going through your mind as there's just chaos in front of you waiting in turn 1 on that restart?
I just kind of figured that they was going to end up spinning out or wrecking or something, so I just kind of took my time and let them sort it out. Because I knew when they got to spinning out, I was going to have to go low since it's a self-cleaning track that goes upwards. So I knew I needed to go low to miss everybody.
You certainly did, but then, okay, let's go ahead and fast forward a couple of laps after that. You get that initial restart. You know that a yellow flag may be waiting around for you. It looks like you got just up to the 73, but you weren't just quite able to make a move with that caution coming out.
Yeah, I got to Herman and I touched his bumper and I didn't want to turn him because I didn't want to win a race like that. But I got to him and barely tapped him, and I seen him start to get loose, and I backed off, and then the yellow came out, and I knew it was over there. But we had a good run. The 85 team was pretty good tonight. I was impressed.
Yeah, it looks like you had a pretty clean night, but it's one thing that I asked Steve Grant, who was just up here in the booth, but I'll ask it to you as well. Kind of describe the loose sensation that we saw tonight for all of our viewers out there as you guys were sliding all around Bristol, as guys were checking up for each other. How does that feel like in the race car?
Sometimes it was like ice. It was getting in the corners and having to check up a little bit, and it was getting looser and looser. When I spun out, was trying to keep it off the 73, and that's the reason why I got loose and spun out. I believe Steve Grant got me just a little bit to help me on around, and which I was really impressed I was able to come back from a spin and finish second.
It's definitely a good rebound for you, but I'll do the same as I did to Steve. I'll go ahead and throw the mic to you, and it's all yours, buddy, to give anybody a shout-out that you'd like to get one tonight.
I just thank Steve and Dan Rubino for everything they do here at Hobo, and thank you guys for hosting Hobo racing at full velocity. And hopefully, before too long, I'll give me a victory on full velocity.
Yes, certainly, Ricky. Hopefully, we'll be there to see it. But that's the driver of the number 85 Gas Monkey Havoline Chevrolet. He brings it home P2, but I believe our guy Phil Lacasse up here in the booth, he's caught up in victory lane with a very happy person. That's our winner tonight, the 73 Cadillac.
Sure is. Down here on BladeNode.com, Victory Lane. Their old buddy, Mr. Herman Reese, checking in back into Victory Lane. And Herman, a night that they say, I almost said it's Bristol. Bristol happens, and we have a lot of nights like this here. You somehow stayed out of the carnage. You made the pit stops at the right time. You maneuvered your way back to the field. Once you get out front, how much of a big sigh of relief did you breathe when you saw that car in clean air and knew that maybe the carnage, maybe for the rest of the night, just may stay behind you?
That was a good feeling. I felt like I got a gift when I saw those guys pit, and I thought maybe I'd made the wrong call on the pit strategy there, but. I said, well, we'll just points race. We'll get a top 5, and they all peeled off. And I'm like, 34 laps to go. This race, as long as I don't screw up, it's mine. And it was like you said, you got to be up front to stay out of the carnage. And it is Bristol. It's so hard to pass. You saw cars with a lot of damage that were just terribly difficult to get by. And you know, there's a lot of good drivers. You got to wait for them to make a bobble or somebody else make a mistake to get by. And just fortunate. Tonight. I had a good car. I mean, this is one of the best Bristol cars I've had for a while.
Well, I got to ask, because a guy like yourself who, probably opens a Bristol folder, probably has a handful of good setups that we're trying to go to, knowing the way the land here, game Bristol, how, this race could play out with 29, 30 cars that we had out here tonight. Are you setting that car up loose, knowing that you're going to have some really cold tires going to make it skaty? Did you set that thing up a little bit tight, knowing the yellow flags may fall to try to keep that car underneath there? What was your thinking going into the evening's event and how to set up your race car?
That's exactly what I did. I had several different setups, and I went back 10 years and grabbed one that I had that I've been successful with, and then I continued to add grip. I did some things here tonight to the setup that I'd never have done at Bristol, just to promote grip and stay tight, because I with the field count as high as it was, I had a feeling we might have a lot of caution. So it was a really good long run car, but it was with the extra grip I put in, it was a really good short run car, and it helped. I mean, it is played out kind of how I thought it was going to play out as far as the way that the race went. There were several runs in there. We had 10, 15 laps, and then you had your short runs.
Well, man, you did it here once again tonight, picking up yet another win. They are hard to come by at Hobo nowadays. You get a little bit more frequently than I think a lot of guys, almost, it's tough sledding around here. No doubt about it, Herman. I'll give you the mic one more time. A class act as always. The floor is all yours. Thank you, like to thank out there, man. Congratulations. Another victory here at Bristol for you.
Thank you, guys. I thank the Bino brothers again for Hobo racing. We have a lot of fun here, high car counts and a lot of good racing. And Brian Voiles Trucking, I believe, sponsored the race. The Gent, Brennan, involvement there, and the guys. There were some really good runs tonight. Ricky, congratulations, top 3 in the Cup Series is hard to do over here. So appreciate you guys coming out and broadcasting it. The last broadcast was fantastic, and hope to see you again soon.
Well, we certainly will. I believe we got the rest of the season here. I think with the on Labor Day weekend, I think that's like the only one we may not be here. So they're going to see a lot.
User was moved out of your channel. User was moved to your channel.
It is going to be a lot of fun to watch, as I think my TeamSpeak button's moving here tonight. I moved a whole lot of stuff around, so it's been a topsy-turvy night on the racetrack there, Blake. It's been a topsy-turvy night for me. I'm not sure what the heck's going on, but I've got this TeamSpeak all jacked up. I don't know how I managed that, but I guess things happen. Bristol takes it out to all of us, I guess.
Well, it certainly does. Bristol is the widest range of emotions. You can even, look at the Cup race this past weekend, and you can see kind of the wide range of emotions that Bristol brings out. It brings out the best and worst in everybody, and I think that holds true for us even up here in the booth as well.
Well, I'm so happy this guy came back aboard. Hopefully we'll get him for a lot more here over the next couple of months. The smooth sounds, the great insight of our old friend Blake McCandless joining us here tonight. Got to thank him. Got to thank Jack Truden for all his work. Got to thank guys like Todd Stanton behind the scenes, Ron Piles, Martin Karch, and the entire cast of characters here at the Full Velocity Racing Network. Got to thank the great sponsors here once again, one more time. Head of a record service, iRacing, iFlag, Voiles Trucking, Bladeno.com, South Texas Speedway, Montstar Productions, TDR Racing League, Hard Motorsports, Trash Panda Graphics, Evil One Graphics, and our buddy Brendan Full Throttle with the Gent. For everybody here at Hobo Racing, the Full Velocity Racing Network, we will see you back here live tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, another round of DWR Wednesday Night Street Fights from the USA International Speedway. Be there or be square. Have a good night, everybody.